So from the analysis of the women's ads, um, the common themes that I found were that white women or women with Caucasian features are attractive. I found that 70% of the ads portrayed this idea. 40% of the ads portrayed the idea that women should be thin. 60% of the ads portrayed the idea that women should be useful and or that signs of aging such as like wrinkles, like gray hair, dull skin are considered unattractive. Um, Around 37% of ads said that women should have perfect skin with no blemishes and no texture. 13% of the ads portrayed the idea that women should be virginal and pure, yet also kind of sexy and experienced. And 53% of the ads portrayed women as objects or sexual desires. And then 10% of the ads um, portrayed the idea that women should have larger breasts and that's considered attractive in society. So I had mentioned that 70% of the ads kind of portrayed the idea that white women, are like the pinnacle of attractiveness in society, but 100% of the ads that actually pictured people used a white model. And there are only 3 ads that I found that had women of color, but um, those women of color all exemplified Caucasian features. For example, this ad, it pictures ethnic women, but they all have Caucasian features such as straight hair, pale skin, and large eyes. And this kind of creates the idea that, you know, people of color should aspire to have Caucasian features. For ads that promoted the idea that women should be thin, I only counted ads that at least showed the model's torso, but I would say that all models, even when just their face was pictured, looked thin. This presentation of only thin, some looking almost underweight models create an unhealthy perception of woman's own body, and it promotes eating disorders where a woman's goal is to look as thin as possible. Um, there were many ads that promoted the idea of unblemished, unwrinkled skins. Um, this makes women feel that aging is a negative process and signs of aging makes them less desirable or beautiful. Some of these ads took this idea of youth being beautiful and took it a step further and kind of spread the idea that youth and innocence is sexually desirable. I found that 13% of the ads used really young models. Some of them looked to be almost teenagers with young features such as large eyes, um, again, perfect skin. And they kind of also presented them in like a sexualized manner, promoting the idea that women should be both virginal yet experienced, which was a common theme that was mentioned in the Killing Us Softly video source. Lastly, a majority of the ads presented women as objects of sexual desire, picturing their models with little to no clothes and emphasizing their breast. Some ads told women that bigger breasts are more desirable, and these ads often objectified women and limit their aspirations to that of pleasing men sexually. For the men's magazine, common themes in the ads that I found were that men should have high aspirations. 20% of the ads promoted that idea. Around 27% of the ads promoted the idea that men should be rough, dangerous, intimidating, and or adventurous. Um, 46 or around 47% of the ads promoted the idea that men should have a muscular build or an athletic build. Um, and 10% of the ads promoted the idea that men who have like a more experienced, mature look have more sex appeal. An interesting observation I made was that a lot of the food advertisements in the men's magazine actually kind of promoted the idea that men should be aspirational. Some of them use taglines like life goals in progress, taste goals achieved, that there's much more for them to do, um, and that they should be committed to being productive members of society. This is opposed to women's food advertisements that largely perpetuated the idea that women should be skinny and watch what they eat and should care about the sugar and fat content of their food. Lots of ads pictured men in the outdoors are performing like dangerous adrenaline junkie type actions. This kind of suggests that how rough or adventurous a man is a measure of his manliness. Also, the amount of vehicles and other possessions that reflect this adventurous, outdoorsy demeanor is a measure of his manliness. There are a lot of ads selling protein powder and showing a man who's very muscular. This spreads the idea that men should be working out, and the larger muscle you have, the more manly you are. Also, many ads pictured famous athletes, kind of insinuating the idea that men should look up to these athletes and be athletic themselves and enjoy competition. Um, Ads that were selling products like cologne and watches tend to picture more mature white men with facial hair who looked strong and dependable. This spreads the idea that experienced white men were kind of the pinnacle of attractiveness. Overall, the ads that I analyzed accurately portray our current definitions of hegemonic masculinity and emphasize femininity. The problem with creating this narrative that all men should be intimidating and very muscular and um, less expressive with their emotions is that they tend to pent up their emotions, which can lead to a lot of psychological problems, which is evident in our um, disparity in which men commit a lot more crimes than women, and oftentimes women tend to be the victim of crimes like domestic violence because they are portrayed as more subservient and less dominant. And these ads support and uphold the structure that we have